Happy Friday and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is The Daily Show, where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is your Collider Movie Talk crew. Taking over on this Friday is production manager Dennis Tzeng.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. As you can see, John is not here. I'm the captain now. And people have been tweeting and asking me where I've been. I'm here every day. every show you see, every movie talk, Jedi Council, Heroes, after shows, I'm still here. I'm just not in front of the camera. But anyways, yeah, I'm filling in for John. He's off for a few days. In what's that country up north? What's it called?
Canada.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yes.
San Francisco.
It's some weird place, but he's going to be there for the next few days, and so I'll be filling in.
Awesome. Also here is the host of our Collider recap show for The Flash. I almost forgot your name.
That's so good.
I'm David Griffin, y'all.
Sinead, you're
I'm
really good
here.
at this.
Back to the Speed Force.
I was trying to remember.
I'm here.
Oh, I was trying to say
Who is this
what you
guy?
were hosting, and then it's David Griffin, you guys. He's
Yeah,
here.
thanks for having me.
Griffin.
Yeah, I'm here. Who's this guy?
Is your ego fully pumped up now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
good.
I'm ready.
And also here, it's Kristian Harloff.
Nice to see you again, Johnny. You know what they say about Friday?
I don't know.
Oh.
I was really excited about that. Really excited. All right. While promoting his upcoming movie, Pan, Hugh Jackman was recently asked by MTV UK who he thought should replace him as Wolverine in future films after he retires from the role. In response, Jackman said the following: "I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I've been asked that question a lot, and I'm always like, I don't want to make it too easy on the studio to replace me, you know? I've still got one more to do. I'm sure they're already talking about it, and there's some actor they've told, shh, keep it quiet, but we want you next. He's younger than me for sure. I think Tom Hardy would be a great Wolverine." Dennis, what do you think of Hugh Jackman's suggestion of Tom Hardy as Wolverine?
I actually really like this choice. I think that he fits kind of that animalistic, ferocious intensity that Wolverine has. However, I don't know how much weight Hugh Jackman's suggestion is going to have with the studio. The studio is going to do what the studio wants to do. And there is a thing with Wolverine where even though he has that kind of characteristic in the movies, at least with Hugh Jackman, there is like this charisma and charm that he has underneath it all that you can feel. With Tom Hardy, less so. So I feel like I don't know if they would want to cast someone like that who's a little darker, I would feel less approachable Wolverine in future movies. I don't know. What do you think, David?
I think it's perfect because Wolverine, in the comic books is not supposed to be approachable.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be comforting. We've gotten used to Hugh Jackman, who has this just great charisma. I'll say he's a beautiful man, 6'4", like Australian guy. But I mean, Wolverine is a short, stocky, gruff guy, and Hardy has that animalistic nature about him. It's just automatic for him. I don't think he'd even I don't want to say he wouldn't even have to act, but he would just be able to do that character perfectly, I think.
Kristian?
Well, that's the thing is that I kind of disagree with you a little bit, Dennis, as far as Tom Hardy not being able to do the charming thing. He can do the charming thing. He's I mean, even that stupid movie with McGee that he was in,
I try to forget that movie.
Yeah, most people do. This means war, but he can do charming. He definitely has charisma. The charisma and Wolverine had charisma in the comics. He does. He's got that. That's why you love him so much. He's got that personality. But going off to agree with both you guys is that he's got that ferocity, he's got that anger, and he's the right height to do it as well. I want to see Tom Hardy play him, even though I'm selfish and I want to be able to talk about him on Jedi Council getting cast in a Star Wars film. But I think out of all, if you ask me the ideal role to play in a genre film, like whether it be superhero or Wolverine for Tom Hardy's pretty good. People would lose their minds if it happened. As far as someone else playing, if you went unknown, similar to what you did with Hugh Jackman, that to me would be something special as well.
I think the thing about Tom Hardy for me, I mean, I think he could do the charm thing, but there's never been a point where I've seen Hugh Jackman in any movie where I was as scared of him as I was of Tom Hardy in Warrior. Right. That character was like, man, do not get anywhere near that guy.
And that's kind of what Wolverine needs to be too.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm saying if they do choose that, you're going more that route and less of a kind of mainstream. Hugh Jackman, he's just so likable. Yeah. I don't know, Sinead, what would you think of Tom Hardy as Wolverine?
Tom Hardy is fine. I think it would be great. I think that he totally has that embodiment of the character, but I also really love Hugh Jackman. So right now it's kind of hard for me to picture someone else in the role because I've gotten so used to it. So I feel like once it's like over, once Hugh Jackman has retired from the role, I do think I would need just a little bit of time in order to like embrace a new Wolverine. But Tom Hardy would be a great pick. He's terrifying too, honestly, and hot.
On a side note, he's also one of the front runners for James Bond. They're talking about
Really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
they're talking about
that doesn't
see.
work. Yeah,
See,
for me.
I would go more with the Henry Cavill or Idris Elba.
Yeah.
And that I feel like they're more suave and they would fit into that role. But apparently, I guess he's one of the names they're talking about as well.
Yeah, Idris Elba to me is more because even Henry Cavill was fun. It was fun in Man from U.N.C.L.E., but he just I don't know. There was something missing. Idris Elba is still my choice for Bond. I think Tom Hardy again, go more off your point to agree with you here. To where I don't know if he can get to that level of suave. Like I mean, I'm sure he could. No, Wolverine, snickety.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
In an interview at TIFF, Men in Black producers Walter Parks and Laurie McDonald revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that Sony has a Men in Black reboot in the works. When asked about the franchise, Parks and McDonald acknowledged that not only was a reboot being developed, but that it would be a trilogy and most likely not involve Will Smith. Kristian, are you interested in seeing a new Men in Black reboot trilogy?
Never thought I'd be able to do an impression of a studio, but I'm doing it. Because I am reaching. I am reaching. Come on, man. They're rebooting everything. It's like Sony we knew the problems that they had. They're trying to get back on track, so they're rebooting all of their popular franchises. They're rebooting Ghostbusters. We'll talk about that in a second. They were at one point talking about doing 21 Jump Street and now mixing it with Men in Black, and now they're going to reboot Men in Black? No, this is stupid. It's like, and then maybe they'll have Will Smith pop in there and do a cameo as a different character. Why would you do that? I don't need to. The last one was like, what, 2011, 2012? The movies are still fresh in our brains. There are certain times that I'm on board with reboots, and there are certain times where it just seems like a reach and a grab for the studio to just say, we need a property. Men in Black worked once. If we put in the hot new actors today, then and just to take a screenwriter that has had a couple hits and a good director, we can make this work. There are some times, even with a great team, that I don't want to see a property touched again. I don't care about a Men in Black reboot. If it was a fourth movie, I'd say, okay, let's see what they can do with it. I'll give it a shot. I don't need a reboot of Men in Black.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just have no interest in it. I liked the first movie, didn't care for the second one, didn't even bother seeing the third one. But the problem with this, you talked about other franchises like Ghostbusters or we have with Alien. They're not rebooting Alien, but they're continuing the Alien saga. Those are beloved franchises. Men in Black has never been a beloved franchise. People don't talk about it in that way.
Right.
People are like, oh, Men in Black, yeah, I had a good time watching it. But no one's clamoring for, we need a sequel. And then whether Will Smith is in it or not, I mean, it's crazy to think nowadays where Will Smith is like kind of like an afterthought. Like with Independence Day and Men in Black, it's like, we don't know. He used to be like the #1 like gold guy at the box office. Like if he was in a movie, it was going to make a ton of money no matter what.
You need that mind eraser to make people forget about the first 3 movies, and you can reboot this thing. But the age of the movie star is kind of going away. It's the age of the director. It's the age of the property.
I think it's more the age of the franchise.
Yeah, the property.
Well,
I
want to play.
though, you guys, that ride at Universal.
Man in Black ride?
I love that ride.
I want to play a little devil's advocate here and root on the side
Okay.
of a Men in Black reboot, because Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, I did believe, captured a sense of magic. They were cast very well. They worked well together, but it wasn't. The stories couldn't, hold up for another 2 or 3 films that they made. But for the first movie, I thought it was really special. I really enjoyed it. If they could somehow capture that again with a younger cast, I'd be willing to see it. I'm not saying people are clamoring for it. It's not a beloved series, like you said, but playing on the side of the studio, if they can somehow find 2 actors to embody what Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith did for the first one, it could be a success.
But why capture it again? Like, why?
It's not,
what's the again? It's 2000 99 or whatever. 1999 was when it came out. Like, why try to recapture that? I'm sure that somebody could do it. Mm-hmm. I'd say the opposite side of that, if you're gonna do it, is make it more serious. Make it more along this, like really go sci-fi with it. Go into a place that the rumors of the actual Men in Black that have been out there before. If you're gonna do that, with somewhat of the similar story of this guy who gets caught up in this secret thing. But if it's the same tone and the same type of goofiness, when you're trying to hope that you can get two actors to recapture it, that's when it goes, why do you need to do that? I'm sure someone can do it. I just don't understand why the need.
I like your idea, though. I like your idea of making it more
Hire
serious. More serious and more
Sony hire you,
sci-fi.
like
Because then I would be much more interested. They put out a trailer that kind of was a little, not dark in tone,
Right.
but more serious in tone. And I felt like, okay, they're actually going to do kind of more science fiction instead of jokey.
That could be interesting. And you know what you remember the Adjustment Bureau?
Yes.
When the Adjustment Bureau turned out to be something completely different, and I've actually appreciated that movie more when I've gone back to watch it, because it really turns out to be more of a love story than a.
Yes.
I almost thought it was going to be like Dark City when I first saw the trailers, but I think that if you had what that trailer looked like and the tone, if that's the new Men in Black, then I'd be like, okay, all right, maybe there could be something interesting.
Well, we
Okay,
didn't
no, I
touch
gotta do
upon this, though. A trilogy, like you're gonna reboot it. Let's start off with the first movie and
Right.
see if that does well.
Right.
You're like, oh, we're gonna do 3 movies straight off the
But
bat.
it's almost like these studios have to sell that. I mean, it's not a good thing. I agree with you, Dennis. But studios have to come up with these ideas, these long-term projects, or else people are like, well, you just got an idea for one film. What's
Right.
2 look like? What's 3 look like? How can we build a franchise? It's sad that they have to do this. We can't just focus on making one good movie.
Especially Sony, because they're competing with Disney and Warner Brothers right now, and who have these franchises. I mean, look at Warner Brothers with the DC stuff, and then with Harry Potter, and they're able to now move. What's a Fantastic Beast? What's the new one called?
yeah.
They're able to. That to me, when they say, okay, we're going to do a trilogy, I'm gonna go, okay, makes sense. J.K. Rowling's doing it again, sure. But like you said before, Dennis, Men in Black is a property. The first time you see it, you go, okay, but why? I don't know.
I
Sony's
think it goes
reaching.
back to your first point, though. I think they're desperate.
Yeah.
Because look, they still have the rights to Spider-Man, but they've essentially kind of given half of those back to Marvel.
Right.
And then you have Bond is not necessarily coming back to Sony.
Right.
So now they're just like, okay, what do we have left?
And that's why it's 22 Jump Street. That they're going to lean on that
yeah.
to do something. For
They're
sure.
going to make like 1 million of those.
They
Well,
have to,
their biggest seller right now seems to be PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
That's what's making them money.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been talk. They've asked the CEO and them like if they're thinking about selling. I mean, that's been thrown out there. I mean, we'll see.
All right. Now on to our buy or sell segment. Sinead, what do we got?
Well, speaking of reboots, we've already heard that the remaining Ghostbusters from the original movie, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson, will be making cameos in the upcoming Ghostbusters reboot. Now, it looks like another original Ghostbusters cast member will also be joining the production. Earlier today, director Paul Feig tweeted this: "Gang, trying to keep surprises, but this is about to leak, so I'll just tell you myself. The awesome Sigourney Weaver is going to be in our movie." David, do you buy or sell Sigourney Weaver making an appearance in the new Ghostbusters?
I buy Sigourney Weaver in many things, in pretty much everything. So I'm going to buy her in Ghostbusters. There's all this talk about cameos and playing different characters. So I guess we're going to have to see. It depends on who she's going to be, or if she's just going to be she's going to be who she was in the original, or she's going to be some new character. But I love Sigourney Weaver. Ever since I saw her in Alien, that was the first movie I ever saw her when I was a kid, and I was actually allowed to watch that. My first rated R movie I ever saw. I loved her, not just because of the skimpy underwear in the final scene, but she still looks good. She's tall. She's got this great energy about her. She's just one of the first badass female characters out there. I mean, they've tried to emulate that with Underworld and Resident Evil, but I think Sigourney is the one you look to when you look at just be able to OG badass. So I buy Sigourney Weaver and everything, and I'm excited to see her in Ghostbusters in whatever capacity that's going to be.
Kristian?
I mean, look, same thing as where I buy her to be in the movie. It's Sigourney Weaver, but she's not playing Dana. Right. She's not all these characters. Bill Murray's not playing Venkman. This goes back to what I was saying beforehand. I love Paul Feig, okay, and I love this cast, and I think that this cast. I think we're going to get a lot of laughs out of this movie. I think that this movie could be good. I don't understand why you make a reboot as opposed to you could if you can get Bill Murray, who's going to be in the movie, if you can get Sigourney Weaver and Ernie Hudson, why not make them the characters that they were, even if they're cameos or something too, and continue the lore that you created all those years ago. And now, Venkman's retired or whatever it might be. Venkman or Bill Murray playing I have rumors that he's actually playing like the villain type character, and then she's going to just pop in there to say, "Oh yeah, I was in the first." That's all it does. When she pops in, it's just so it's a respect that she was in the original franchise. I don't like the fact that they're not continuing the lore. But that being said, I'm sure that I'm going to like this movie because I've liked a lot of what Paul Feig has been doing. I just wish for my own fandom of the Ghostbusters franchise that it would continue with what they started.
Well, I'll buy her in the movie. I mean, she is Ripley, and she was, you know, as big a part of Ghostbusters as Ghostbusters themselves in that movie. I actually don't mind if they don't continue the lore. However, I do mind if they take someone. What you're talking about, the rumor of Bill Murray being the villain, taking one of the, you know, main characters or actors from the old franchise and making them a significant character. I was just hoping that these people show up as cameos, like we talked about before, like Dan Aykroyd showing up as like a hot dog vendor, or like Bill Murray is like some random guy on the street. But then if you actually take them and make them a character in this new universe, that's where I think I have a problem with.
But even if you can get them though, like why not? I mean, look at, even though you guys know how I feel about Vacation. Okay,
Yeah.
It was still cool to have Chevy Chase in the movie as Clark Griswold. He's only in it for a scene. But even so, even though I don't believe that movie tied into anything that the original movie did, it's still, to me, okay, at least Clark Griswold was in the movie and said, okay, Rusty, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, it's still that same world. Even though I don't love the execution, I still know it's the same world. With Bill Murray in there and Dan Aykroyd in there, if you could get them in there for a scene, why not? They go and they talk to these guys, and Rick Moranis shows up, and they ask him what happened in '84. What happened? How do we fight? You know, and they have to learn. There was a reason why. You know, we'll see how the writing comes out of it.
What's sad about it though is that Sigourney and Bill Murray had such great chemistry.
Yeah,
I mean, they're a great couple to watch. I mean, every time they were together. So I mean, it said that
his wife.
Yeah. So if he is supposedly playing the villain, we probably won't be able to see that. So.
On a side note, Paul Feig also on Twitter has been arguing with tons of fans, telling them to go F themselves. And you know what? I read some of the stuff that people wrote to him, and I'm like, man, what's wrong with some of these people? This one guy was like a diehard Ghostbusters fan, and in his bio, he wrote, Ghostbusters, 1984 to 2015, R.I.P. And I'm like, wow, the movie hasn't even come out yet. You're being so melodramatic. Yeah. Like, at least wait till the movie comes out, then at least go watch it and be like, oh, this movie sucks or whatever. But Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, that's beyond silly, but I do understand. I just don't understand the casting choices. That's my thing. Like I said, I like Spy. I really like Spy, and I think this movie will be funny. The cast is great.
All right, what's next?
Earlier this week, Thunder Road Pictures confirmed that John Wick 2 was to start shooting this fall. However, it looks like not all the key players are coming back to the sequel. Our very own Steve, Frosty Weintraub, is reporting that his sources are saying that Chad Stahelski will be directing the sequel by himself, and co-director of the first film, David Lech, will only serve as executive producer on the movie. Kristian, do you buy or sell Stahelski directing John Wick 2 solo this time around?
Yeah, I buy it because his partner's not taking off and leaving. He's going to be there. He'll be able to take his, unless he's not taking the guy's phone calls and just give me producer credit. I don't want to talk to your face anymore. But no, I as long as one of them is still there, works for me. I think that they have collaborated well in the past. I think they'll collaborate even though both not on set together. I really enjoyed the first John Wick. I think that these directors have a feel of what this movie is, what the franchise is, and I think he will do a fine job. So yeah, I buy it.
I buy it too. Yeah, I mean, I love the first John Wick. I was so excited to hear that they're going to make more films in this franchise. It's such a cool world. I mean, I think it's perfect for Keanu Reeves. I don't think just because one director, like you said, Christian's not on set, that's going to be bad. I think it's going to be fine. I buy it.
I'm going to buy it as well, with the maybe not reservations, but we don't really know them as, you know, they were both stuntmen that are like co-directing. I don't really know. We don't know who did what and who's good at what. So when this guy goes off solo, I reserve the right to get a refund if the movie sucks.
Right.
But the executive producer title, that to me is like, that's just kind of a gimme though. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna have anything to do with this movie.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Really?
If it was, because I understand that sometimes when you put your name on things, you're just like I think that's a common misconception though too. Sometimes people just have their names on there. Like Spielberg will have his name on things sometimes. And no one's talking to Spielberg. But other times, Spielberg will have his name on stuff like Jurassic World, and he was very collaborative with Colin Trevorrow. So these guys are partners. They're friends. Like I said, I don't think he's just going to hang up the phone.
No.
And I think that if you're a producer, you're probably going to go through a lot of the creative process. But we don't know. It might be one of those things where he's like, look, I want to go maybe I can try this one on my own, and maybe then switch off for if they do a third movie, or maybe this was always the agreement between them.
Yeah, maybe one of the guys wants to be more in directing, the other guy wants to be more behind the scenes. I mean, maybe this is a different, like you said, Kristian, different career trajectory for him.
I just wonder if the other guy maybe is getting offers to direct other stuff, and maybe that's why he won't be able to do this one. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll pick up the phone, but I don't think he's going to be there on set day to day.
Let's ask him.
I'll call him after you.
Okay. All right, on to our next segment, which is our box office predictions, which we do every Friday. We try to predict the order of which the weekend box office numbers. David, what are your picks for this week?
You know what? I think it's going to be some torture porn is going to be coming back. Eli Roth's Green Inferno. I like the whole premise behind this movie. He actually went to the tribe and they actually shot with the tribal members. They actually had to show them what a movie was. They had never seen a movie before. I'm not honestly a big fan of those kind of hostile movies, but I would go see this. It looks interesting.
So are you putting that at number 5?
Well, no, I'm going to put Transylvania at number 1.
Okay.
Hotel Transylvania 2, just because it's a kids movie. Right. It's open. There's not a lot of kids movies out right now. I figure the parents can take their kids to go see that. I think Green Inferno is going to be number 2. Pitching Scorched Trials at 3. And then I'm going to put Everest at 4, going up. Okay. Everest, and then Black Mass.
Is Everest hitting more theaters this week?
Yes, it's hitting more theaters, and then I'm going to put Black Mass.
I don't think it's like super wide, like 3,000, but I think it's maybe 15 to 2,000.
But the buzz is really positive. I think it's over like 70% on Rotten Tomatoes with Everest. I think I know I'm going to go see it this week. I haven't seen it yet because I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah, I have Transylvania as number 1. It's a kids movie. Also, the first one did very well. I never saw it, but apparently it did very well with that audience. Number 2, I have The Intern. I think it fills a need for, sometimes we talk about a lot of big budget movies here. We always forget like there's other movie audiences out there that want to see these type of movies, and I think it's going to do well. I have 3 as Everest. I think just opening wider, and plus you have the IMAX ticket sales are going to help boost it. 4th, I'm gonna say Black Mass. Black Mass. I feel like that's gonna have more staying power versus my number 5, which is Scorched Trials, Maze Runner. I feel like a lot of the people that wanted to see that movie have already seen that movie, and it's not like it's something where people are like buzzing about. Oh, you've got to see Maze Runner. Scorched Trials. You have to see that. So I don't think Green Inferno is gonna make it onto that top 5 at all. Sinead, what do you think?
I don't think Green Inferno is going to make it on to that top 5 either. No. Only because I think that's a very specific, the marketing for that movie. We talked about this a little bit, but I watched a preview last night and it terrified me. Like it actually terrified me. And I was like, I don't want to see this movie. Like I probably will end up watching it, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I want to see this movie, because it made me feel like I would be scared. Like it would disturb me.
He's right over there looking at you.
I know. Remember, I was giving him kisses the other day. But I feel like it's not going to appeal to a lot of people. I'd have Hotel Transylvania in at 1. The Intern is everywhere. There's like marketing left, right, and center for that. It's on the radio all day, every day, and it looks really good. And I'm really excited to find out how it is. But because I have that at 2, at 3 I have Maze Runner, which I still think is going to come ahead of Black Mass, even though I think it should probably be switched. But I think Scorched Trials will come ahead of Black Mass, and then Everest will be at the number 5 spot.
All right, cool. And now
about me.
Sorry. For some reason, I thought you went already. Go ahead.
All right. No, you know what, Dennis? I'm not giving you my predictions.
No.
All right. Yeah. For me, I think that number 1 will be Hotel Transylvania 2. I actually think Maze Runner is going to hold. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think it'll hold. Because I don't think. But when I say hold, it'll drop by maybe 50%. But I still think that The Intern will come in at 3. Like right behind it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Intern did hit number 2, but I'll say Hotel Transylvania, Maze Runner, Intern, Everest, and then Black Mass.
Okay. And the movie I actually really want to see this weekend is Sicario. It opens, but it's limited, right?
Yeah. Well, last week was
nationwide, October 2nd.
Even this weekend, it's still
limited. Yeah,
it's still limited.
Nationwide,
yeah,
October.
It's like 700, maybe 600 theaters.
Yeah, because it came out last week limited, then it came out. Then it's a couple more theaters this week, and then October.
And both of you saw it, right?
Yes.
And both of you really liked it.
I really enjoyed it.
Is it getting a wide release?
Yeah,
October 2nd, I think, whatever that next Friday is. Yeah, it's worth seeing.
All right. And now on to mailbag where we answer your viewer submitted questions. All you got to do is send us an email at our email collidervideo@gmail.com, and we'll either answer them on the Daily Show or on this weekend's mailbag, which me and David and a few other people are going to be doing this weekend while John is up in that
Canada.
Playing hockey and eating
Gravy.
Poutine.
Poutine.
All right, Sinead, what's the first one?
Tyler writes, "Hey guys, I was interested to hear you talking about how Everest had been such a success on its opening weekend due to its revenue per screen calculation. My question is, are there any films in recent times that have not been a blockbuster but has a brilliant revenue per screen record? Thanks, guys."
Well, there's been a ton because, my favorite movie of last year was Birdman. It opened on 4 screens and averaged over 100,000 per screen. So the thing is you can't look at something like that and go, okay, man, this is going to be a huge, huge blockbuster. It's actually because of how limited it is, and there's a certain select group of people that really, really want to see it. That's how the screen average goes so high. It's more of a harder task where you're in 2,000, 3,000 theaters and what your screen average is for that, because Birdman eventually won the Oscar for Best Picture. They made it wider to its widest release, which is about 1,500 right after. I think it only averaged $1,500 per screen. So it's not a good indicator of what's going to be a blockbuster or not. What do you guys think?
No, I don't think it's an indicator at all. But it absolutely does. I mean, I think sometimes it's a filling out process for the production companies, like Everest, for example. Like you put it out and limited. I think that had Everest not performed as well as it did, I don't think you see the expansion in theaters for sure. So it's a testing ground, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll show up in the numbers when it does expand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I was in college, the movie that came out that I really wanted to see was Pan's Labyrinth. That was in a small town. I was in Central Michigan University, which is in Mount Pleasant, which is a maybe 25,000 person town. So I had to wait a long time close to the Oscars for it to finally expand where I could go see it, I think, in Lansing, Michigan, which is the next biggest city next to me. So, like you said, sometimes they can start small, but they build up slowly over time, word of mouth, and start to widen. So for me, when that happens, living in a small town, it's great. So I can go see these movies.
Is Star Wars limited release?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to do like 3 screenings first, and then...
In my house.
And then if...
only in downtown, only in Hollywood.
And then only if it does well in those screens will they expand further.
Imagine if you were the only person that was able to see that movie, like you got a copy from the studio, and you wouldn't show anybody. You would go to jail like the next day. Like everyone would come and you'd be dead.
Not the jail. You would be in hospital or the morgue.
You have to move up to Canada. You have to go to Canada up there. Yeah,
just throwing a poutine at people through the window.
All right, what's next?
You guys think that's what John does when he's in Canada? He just throws poutine at
He's watching Star Wars. That's what he's doing right now. He's in a bathrobe watching The Force Awakens, eating poutine.
That's hilarious. All right, Alfredo writes, "Greetings, Collider crew. Been watching your videos since the Bring on the Filthy days. I've noticed you guys and other critics say things like, the first act of the movie was good, or the final act blew my mind away. My question is, what describes the first, second, third acts, or how many acts are in a movie? How do you know what falls into each act? Thanks."
Well, when you first take any screenwriting class, they make you buy this one book called Sid Field's Screenplay, The Foundations of Screenwriting, and they explain the 3-act structure, which is basically 90-something% of all movies use it. They have an opening act, which is about 30 minutes long, which is called exposition. They set it up, they set all the stuff up, and then in the middle part, it's about 60 minutes. It's a confrontation, and then the last 30 minutes is the resolution. So a lot of movies just follow that same structure, especially in blockbuster movies. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. I think you nailed it as far as how it's set up. But I think I'll just address the question is, I think what the acts can do is, depending on like how things are set up, and this is more for TV, but what I would say, if Bloodline, for example, the show on Netflix, was an entire movie with the acts, if it was a 10-hour movie, right? There's sometimes when you're watching a movie and the acts set up the characters so well, and they set up the stakes so well that you're kind of like, do I like this? Do I care? Am I bored? And then you realize when you hit the final act, and the way that the resolution happens, that, oh, wait a minute, that first act paid off so well because of the way that it developed their characters and the plot and gets you through. So like you were saying, Dennis, in the beginning with the exposition and setting it up, as long as it's not just too much exposition just to put it in there and it's overkill, if everything is set up well and the third act delivers, you become aware of what the acts have done, and not just in a 10-hour show, but in a 2-hour movie too. You've realized when you go back and think about it, well, that act definitely set that part up, and the second act was full of the fights, so the explosions, or the murder mystery when it really came into play, the setup, and then when they solved the mystery at the end and the killer was exposed, and you start to piece it together the more you watch movies and the more you pay attention to it.
The exciting thing is once you see some of the other directors that like to play with that,
Yes,
like Tarantino
right. Yeah.
plays with it, but you have to understand Tarantino's not just like, I'm just going to screw this whole 3-act thing. He understands the basics. You always have to understand. It's like a great basketball player or any other thing you do, talent. You have to understand the basics before you can start to change them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tarantino plays a little more. Some, I know it was movie talk, but going to TV, especially like when you watch something like The Wire, you're waiting for like the first or second. You're like, wait, what am I watching here? What is this?
It takes like 6 or 7 episodes.
6 or 7 episodes for you to even try to hit, if there is an act 2 of season 1, to hit it. So like you said with Bloodline, sometimes it can be a slow burn to get there, but especially in films, yeah, you do see it. Like you said, in the big blockbusters like Avengers, you see that pretty easily. There's always the big fight at the end, the big conclusion where you take down the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't use Star Wars as an example. Where
Oh,
you have,
yeah.
because you have like the opening act where you have Luke, and then when he finds the droids is what they call the inciting incident,
Right.
and that's what leads him to find Ben Kenobi, which is kind of the end of the first act. Then the rest of him meeting Han, rescuing Princess Leia is all
mission.
the middle.
The mission,
Yeah,
right.
and then the climax is the third act is the Death Star. So it's pretty easy. All right, last question I think we have.
Because I shouldn't be the only one that talks about Star Wars.
Yes.
See, it lives inside of you. The Force lives
Yes.
inside of you. See? That's what I do here. Mind trick.
Ryan writes, "Hey, Collider crew, love this show and watch it every day. Keep up the great work. My question is regarding the budgets for TV shows, the quality of some TV shows. Many people think that some TV shows have a good enough budget or story to become movies. Do you think TV shows should try to put out a movie based on the show? I know some TV shows like Doctor Who have put out certain episodes in theaters and they've done so well. So do you think they should try to put out a movie? I would love to hear your opinions on this topic."
Kristian?
You know who did this really well? Battlestar Galactica. When Battlestar Galactica rebooted itself, they started with like an hour and a half, 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And it really set up the universe and the world well. There are some shows, depending on the subject matter, that can work for sure. I think that, and I don't know if the viewer means to release it theatrically.
Yeah, I think so.
See, theatrically, I don't know, because so far Entourage didn't work. Veronica Mars. And then there's, they always talked about Sopranos doing one at one point when James Gandolfini was still around. I don't know. I think sometimes it's the medium is set for when it's on TV. It works on TV because I think also Netflix and Amazon has changed the game, because when you're watching those shows, again, we bring back Bloodline, that's a movie. I mean, that really is
Like a 10-hour, 12-hour movie.
Daredevil's a 10-hour movie.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's released as 10 episodes. So it's written like they know when they're writing it that they're going to have to do all these episodes, and it's from start to finish. They know where they're going. They know how to piece it in. I think that benefits the stories because the writers are able to not just go week by week, like what happened with Lost during season 2. The show was lost.
Yeah.
Like it was because they had to keep pumping out these episodes week to week. Then they had to take this big hiatus. I think the way of the TV show on network is almost like a dinosaur now. It's so dated, and that's why but you still go, well, can I play that? Should that become a movie? If you look at the way it is now on Netflix and the way that it is on Amazon, those are your movies.
Yeah, I think one of the better examples of that now on TV is Mr. Robot. The creator, Sam Ismail, he actually wanted Mr. Robot to be a film. He brought it to his manager, producer, and said, "Hey, this is my idea," but the script was just so long and it was so big. It's like, hey, you ever thought about TV? So USA took the risk and picked it up. It's a very risky show. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it here, but it's a very risky show. Takes a lot of chances. Very filmic in the way it's shot. Very interesting shot choice and stuff you would see on film as opposed to on television. And it's paid off because you can tell this large, expansive story. So my answer to the question is I don't think it always has to be geared towards going to the big screen. I think TV that sound corny, but lives in TV for a reason, and it does well because you can stay with these characters. Like, you know, Sinead, you're watching PPL, you can stay with these girls for like 5 or 6 years and learn more about them every single season. And I don't want to just throw that on the big screen for 2 hours in a self-contained story and just lock it down. I think it breathes better when it's on television.
Yeah, I want to address also when he's asking about the Doctor Who, that kind of is related to that revenue per screen thing. It's they don't put those specials like on like a ton of screens. They put it on a few, and then they get all the diehard fans to go, and of course they do well. But imagine if you did that wide release. You took a Doctor Who episode, and you're like, all right, we're going to show 2 of those in theaters this weekend. And you did
like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, 2,000, 3,000 theaters, not everyone's going to go see it. It's going to not do well. Game of Thrones is an example where I think that could work just because of the way the show is. They can take maybe not the same characters or the exact same story and just do something beforehand and make a move out of it and people go see it. But in general, a lot of television shows story-wise aren't made for movies.
It's funny because I'll go back a little bit on what I said, because when we talk about Game of Thrones, if there was like a prequel movie about, you know, how the Mad King and all that stuff happened. Just
I'd see it.
If there was a movie on the Mad King, because of the way Game of Thrones is shot, and it wasn't, and they only had a story to tell for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, then I could understand that for sure. But I think that if you're just stretching it to make a movie for your property that's already succeeded on television, like David was saying, I don't necessarily know if it's needed.
All right, Sinead, what do you think?
Well, I feel like if we talk about Game of Thrones, like Game of Thrones is a cinematic experience on its own, and I agree, it's not a necessity. You do that for your fans, like you do it for the fans. That's the fans reach out for that. If you talk about Entourage, it was like an extended Entourage episode, right? That's how it felt when you saw it. Would I like be dying to see that Entourage movie again? No, but I enjoyed it because I loved Entourage. So it was like, oh my gosh, I loved it. Like it was so funny, but it wasn't needed. Game of Thrones, any great show, and like TV right now especially is incredible. TV is so good at, you could watch, like TV shows are made so that you can binge watch, right? Even something as heavy as Game of Thrones, like you can binge watch it for hours, like, and things like Netflix or Hulu, it allows you to do that and it works. And it's not a need. I think that when studios take a TV show and put it in theaters, it's more, thank you so much to our fans for watching for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Here you go. Like, here's our thank you. Here's your closure. Let's tie a pretty bow on it. That kind of thing.
It's worked before also. I mean, even though I'll never watch another one again, but the Sex and the City movies.
Totally.
Like the first movie was, I think the fans of the show were very happy with the first one, and then because the first one was a success, then they stretched it, and then they did a second one, and people
and
are
look
riding,
how that didn't.
and people are riding on camels. So it's like
They weren't even in the city anymore.
But you know, there's that risk of once you hit success, they want to keep doing more. But that's an example, I think, of one that actually worked from little screen to big.
And I wasn't here on that episode, but remember the rumors of the Deadwood movie being a theatrical? I was actually, even though I love Deadwood, I'm against that because my concern is they're going to want to kind of movie it up, right? They're going to like, all right, we need to get spectacle. We need to do this. We need to get people, not just our fans, but get the rest of the audience in. And Deadwood is not like that. Deadwood is literally about people sitting around talking to each other most of the time. And
the only one I'd want to see is a Dexter movie so they could clear up that garbage.
Awful finale. That was horrible.
Clear it up.
That was horrible. Yeah.
all right, guys, that's it for this day's episode. I want to thank the people at the table. David, where can people find you?
You can find me here on Tuesday nights talking about The Flash on our Flash show, which is going to be awesome. We got John Camp in that as well. And I'm on Twitter at GriffinDE. I'm on Think Hero Pro on YouTube, and you can find some of my writings, my television reviews on ScreenRant.com.
And Kristian?
You can find me at Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram, and you will watch Jedi Council. Make sure that you do that. You can do it every Thursday. We just put a brand new episode on yesterday. It was myself, John, and Tiffany Smith, and we talked about Hayden Christensen possibly coming back to episode 8. See what our thoughts are on that one. Go check it out. Share that, and make sure you also hashtag Collider Jedi Council.
And Sinead, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Sinead DeVries and at That's So Sinead. youtube.com.
Very nice.
Oh, Dr.
Good-
No one
good-
saw it. No one saw it.
Good thing you have a lid on there.
Thank
You
God.
guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero. You can find me on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. I also want to thank all the people who had watched my Fantastic Four sketch and also my new Apple iPad Pro sketch. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/collidervideos. And we will see you guys next week.